In what movie did you relate more with the antagonist? Top Gun. Maverick never should have been there in the first place. Top Gun is an instructor course. Graduates return to their squadron as training officers. A hotshot who doesn't follow the rules and flies dangerously is not going to be a good instructor. Iceman gets just as good results while obeying regulations and flying safely. He was a better Top Gun candidate and will make a better instructor. Face Off. I think. Heat. If you consider De Niro the antagonist in that film. Dracula from Castlevania. He had a good point when he said the common people were also responsible for his wife's death, not the bishop alone. The church had the power to burn her at the stake because the common people gave them that power. In fact, the majority of the population of Targoviste were there cheering as she burned. Don't get me wrong. Straight genocide is too much, but every adult there cheering as a witch died deserved death what they got. No Face from Spirited Away. He just wanted a friend's sad face. Rise of the Guardians. I thought Pitch Black was pretty damn justified and the Guardians were twats. In Panic Room I felt weirdly sorry for Forrest Whitaker's character. He had a pretty sad backstory and goes out of his way to help the family while losing everything for himself. I really thought the film was building to some sort of narrative where the mother and daughter said or did something to bail him out at the end, but it never came. At the same time he was a criminal trying to break into a panic room, but still. I knew I was old when I realized Iceman is actually the good guy in Top Gun. Colonel Hummel in The Rock. He was pushed to a position where he had no choice than to abduct tourists to make a simple demand. Pay the soldiers who died in clandestine missions. Hook. Peter Pan. I felt sorry for Captain Hook having to deal with all those little shits. Nothing more annoying than pesky kids sticking their noses in where it's not wanted. I blame the parents. Spider-Man. Homecoming average working Joe. Scraping a living. Investing in his team. Then some random government agency rock up and tell him, tough, it's ours now, without the slightest bit of compensation for all the money he's spent to get things set up. Trix Rabbit. I know he's not from a movie, but if they had just given him some stupid cereal, he would have realized how god-awful that stuff was and stopped wasting his life. Roy Batty in Blade Runner. Though you're supposed to, that's kind of the point. By the end of the movie, the robot antagonist has shown far more humanity and empathy than the human protagonist. Any movie adaptation of The Merchant of Venice. I'm not even Jewish, but I find Shylock to be the most relatable character. In nearly every movie that makes an effort to portray an antagonist as a real person with character flaws and ambitions. The principal in The Breakfast Club. When I was 13, he seemed like a bully and a jerk. After teaching for a while, I watched it again and realized he's spending his Saturday there because the kids were doing dumbass stuff like shooting flare guns into their lockers and assaulting kids in the locker room, and they don't have the decency to just sit there during detention and not be pains in the ass. Gordon Ramsay from Kitchen Nightmares. Magneto in the X-Men. If I were a mutant and treated the way mutants are treated in that universe, I can't say I'd be on the side of being diplomatic and pacifist. I react poorly to poor treatment. Hans Gruber from Die Hard. He was so suave and clever. Asterisk. Who said we were terrorists? Asterisk. Rip Alan Rickman. Not a movie but Full Metal Alchemist. I relate to Greed. He just wants the best out of life. Who really doesn't? Titanic. The iceberg was just minding its own business. The real villain of that movie was money. I relate more with the guy with the big boot in the SpongeBob movie. Lord of the Rings. I totally get Smeagol wanting to stay in isolation. John Hamm's character in The Town. He just wanted to catch some career bank robbers. Kung Fu Panda. Harvey Dent, Two-Face, from The Dark Knight, believes that everything in this world comes out of chance and that some things or some people can be corrupt very easily. Baroness Shredder in The Sound of Music just wants her fiancé and his kids to like her. She's not used to being around kids, or remotely domestic, and literally no one gives her a single break in this regard. She immediately walks into a situation where everyone hates her. Her man prefers a younger woman, and her only confidant, Max, ends up preferring Maria. Georg does literally nothing to help, and heaps affection on Maria. She's the smartest person in the film, and knows what's up before anyone else. Then this woman classily exits so the man she loves can be with her rival. And people think she's a villain. I hate society. Megamind. And yes, it is the whole point of that movie. Hades from Disney's Hercules. He's just one whole mood and I am here for it. I am going to go for an older one. Billy Madison. Probably because I knew some people like him. Most of us probably did. Some arrogant asshat given his life on a silver platter and throws it all away. Now all of a sudden he wants it all for none of the work required to achieve it. The antagonist was a douche, but he was qualified for the position and made it there through legitimate means. Maybe it's less me seeing eye to eye with the villain and more thinking that the hero shouldn't win. Same problem in Old School. The protagonists cheated to win and were somehow angry they weren't allowed to win in a separate incident. Ferris Bueller's Day Off, Breakfast Club, etc. Pretty much any movie where the bad guy is just someone trying to do their job and kids breaking rules are depicted as the good guys. Stupid kids making life difficult. Jerks. Not a movie, but a show called Phineas and Ferb. I relate with the main antagonist because just like him, I sometimes have hard times at it. Where did all these upvotes come from? Thanks for them. Edit 2. No, that doesn't mean that my parents weren't present at birth. Megamind. Still don't know who is the antagonist, though. But I relate to all four main characters. Hellboy 2. Prince Nuada was right. School of Rock. The parents in it. As a kid I didn't really get it, but it's 100% creepy AF for some middle-aged dude to pretend to be a teacher and get all the kids to join him in a band to play a gig. The shark from Jaws. You're not you when you're hungry. Not exactly antagonist, but Loki as an antihero in the first Thor movie. My guy just wanted to be Thor's equal. Being the younger sibling I can relate. Not a movie but Burr from Hamilton. I found myself rooting for him throughout the entire show. Mostly because Leslie Odom Jr. played him to perfection. OK sign. Avengers. Age of Ultron. All it took Ultron 5 minutes to analyze internet and come to a conclusion that humans aren't worthy to live. Law-abiding citizen. It was a little deus ex machina the way they got him in the end. Any movie with annoying high school, college students. Oh God, I think I just hit old age. Not a movie but a show, Breaking Bad. Walt is a bad guy, and in the later seasons Hank is the main antagonist, but I relate to Hank and his cause more. Sid from Toy Story. That kid had some obvious problems because of his environment, and no one seemed to want to try to reach out to him or want to be friends with him. From the state of his house and the lack of any supervision, it seemed that his parental figures were kind of out of the picture and didn't put forth much effort either. If someone had tried to show some compassion or be his friend, he probably wouldn't have been as antagonistic or destructive. You'd think Woody of all toys would have known what makes a kid tick, but he probably scarred him for life by talking directly to him. He shows up in Toy Story 3 as a garbage man, so it's really kind of sad realizing that he never got into a better situation. Edit. Yes, I know a garbage collector doesn't have a bad job and often gets paid well. So maybe he's not in a bad situation current day. To my original point, he still clearly had some sort of messed up childhood. X-Men. I was extremely sympathetic to Magneto's cause. The way the humans claimed they wouldn't apply the mutant cure by force but then weaponized it was evil. Classic, kill what you fear, human mentality. The Aristocats. The butler worked really hard for years and the old crazy madam just wants to give all of her money to her cats. Not a movie, but Tom. Jerry is a dick and bully for the most part. The B-movie. Kingpin in Spider-Man. Into the Spider-Verse. He wanted to see his family. Although I wouldn't go to that great of lengths, you see that he just wants his wife and kid back. Asterisk Ghostbusters. Asterisk. Their work is a violation of any number of environmental laws that are there for a reason. They could very well be a bigger threat than the ghosts they want to hunt. Walter Peck was right. That's some shady shit. Falling Down. Goldeneye. Not the main antagonist, though. Boris Grishenko. Greater than asterisk Natalia asterisk. What's the password? Greater than asterisk Boris asterisk. I made it easy this time. Even you should be able to break it. Borscht for brains. Greater than asterisk Natalia asterisk. Greater than asterisk Boris asterisk. All right, all right. I'll give you a hint. They're right in front of you and can open very large doors. Greater than asterisk Natalia asterisk. Asterisk types knockers, asterisk you're such a geek. Tom, from Tom and Jerry. Ratatouille. The poor guy was just trying to follow health guidelines and then reports his own restaurant and gets it shut down instead of just covering it up. Scar. An unimpressive, less talented sibling? The story of my life. The Vulture from Spider-Man Homecoming. Phineas and Ferb. Does Squidward count? I know he isn't necessarily the villain, but Squidward, the villain of SpongeBob SquarePants, is a depressed and agitated octopus who laments constantly about how his life has turned out. None of his dreams came true and now he's stuck at a job he hates and he lives next to the ocean's most annoying inhabitants. His poor attitude is understandable. Prince Nuada from Hellboy 2. Elves go along with nature until humanity takes over and destroys everything, and he's supposed to hide with all the other supernatural creatures and just watch, otherwise they'd all be obliterated. Everyone would be pissed in his place. Besides, I don't like humanity either. Meet the Robinsons. Poor Goob. Peter Rabbit. Hope that greedy little rodent gets myxomatosis syndrome from The Incredible. He wanted superpowers to be available to everyone, so superheroes wouldn't be in this special class all their own, responsible for saving the world all the time. He was trying to redistribute superpowers to the people so they could protect themselves instead, trying to make the world a better place. He just couldn't really accomplish it with the OG superheroes around to stop him. There's some heavy-handed political metaphors in that movie. The Grinch. Man just wants some peace and quiet. Revenge of the Sith. From my point of view, the Jedi are evil. Relatability isn't the same thing as finding them respectable. For instance, you can relate with Joker's mental health issues in Joker. He shouldn't be admired, because he is a psycho. Javert in Les Miserables. The man is just doing his job and trying to catch this guy who broke his parole, and he keeps getting the bullshit excuses from Valjean like, come arrest me tomorrow instead, today's no good for me, etc. Plus his songs slap. The Evil Queen in Snow White. It was the first movie I saw in a theater. I thought the Queen got to have a lot more fun than Snow White. Hands down the Lego Movie. The dad just wanted to enjoy his hobby in the basement to relax and get away from his stressful job and life. But his kid would not let things be and kept messing with his stuff. I get it. I have 2 small children. All I want is an hour to myself to do something, like garden or crochet, and they're in my face, breaking plant stems because they want to help repot or tangling my yarn as they help hold the ball. I felt for that man so much. Oh man, so many got antagonists. I resonated missed with Jaime Lannister and Sandor Clegane. Both products of situations beyond their control with siblings who were truly bad people and parents who turned a blind eye to the cruelty. Toy Story 1 and 2. A kid who creates toys and a guy who wants to preserve toys are somehow the bad guys. Imhotep in The Mummy. He loved this woman so much that he died repeatedly trying to bring her back and have a life with her. Sure. The curse sort of made him a plague on Earth, but that wasn't his doing or his original intent. Prior to the curse, he was just a man in love with a woman who was chosen by the Pharaoh. Die Hard 4.0. Thomas Gabriel. He exposed severe flaws in the U.S. system at every level to protect the country and people he served. Yet they betrayed him, ruined his life, and didn't even bother taking his advice. They asked for it, and the nation by the end of the movie are still no safer. At one point I related to Davy Jones from Pirates of the Caribbean because I had recently gone through heartbreak and I felt very cold and heartless, and he was honestly just a broken man with an octopus beard. In Death Note anime I loved Kira, but in the American live-action movie, I just cringed the whole time. Caesar. Planet of the Apes. A little bit with Loki. My biological parents were unfit to say the least. Not getting into that shitstorm. I was adopted as a baby by a wonderful woman. My mother is so incredibly important to me. I have never had a father though or been promised a chance at something I would never get, throne. His biological father and mother weren't human and that affected him in his life growing up in Asgard. I have ADHD, anxiety, and asthma. As the result of my biological mother's poor choices whilst pregnant. I just relate a bit to the character. Matsu Omura from The Last Samurai. He just wanted his country to industrialized and developed, as he realized that Japan's feudal, samurai culture won't lead it anywhere. The only fault of that guy was that he loved his country and wanted it to develop so that it could compete with Western powers. Alien immigrants from Gantz, at least some of them. Magneto. He's just a man who lost everything each time he wanted to live in peace. Not a movie, but the TV series Merlin. Morgana deserved better than to be lied to about her magic and then gaslighted and betrayed. They could have stopped her from going bad, and as far as I'm concerned Camelot got what was coming. I mean she is in movies but more comic books, but I say Harley Quinn. Surviving a toxic and abusive relationship and having an identity crisis and dealing with manic mental illness was always relatable to me. Loki in the second Thor movie. Tai Lung, all he wanted to do was to impress his adopted father. Tai Lung. You knew I was the dragon warrior. You always knew. But, when Ogwe said otherwise, what did you do? What did you do? Nothing. Shifu. You were not meant to be the dragon warrior. That was not my fault. Tai Lung. Not your fault? Who filled my head with dreams? Who drove me to train until my bones cracked? Who denied me my destiny? Tai Lung. In a rage. What I ever did, I did to make you proud. Tell how proud you are, Shifu. Tell me, tell me. Thanks for watching. See you later.